Hey guys, I'm Dieter Kurtenbach. This is Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and the Warriors just won Game 2 of the NBA Finals, 109-104. We got a lot to talk about with this hot mess of a basketball game. Three things. Number one, it's really funny what an 18-0 run can do for your team. The Warriors come out in the third quarter, guns blazing. One of the better quarters, better stretches of basketball you'll see from the Warriors. It's been a while since we've seen them kind of do that, hasn't it? And it was the same tried and true script that they've used so many times over the last few years. Defense into offense, spacing the floor on the offensive end. And it's what the Warriors really needed to do to get this series back into their favor. I felt that they were in a pretty good position after Game 1, but after the first half of this game, that all went away. You couldn't have felt good about it. The Raptors were totally dictating the pace of the game, the energy of the game. This is an incredible crowd here in Toronto. They were part of the game, too. The Warriors just didn't look like themselves. Luckily, Klay Thompson was so good in the first half, and Stephen Curry turned it on a little bit there at the end of the second quarter that the Warriors were only down 5. They should have been down 20. But they made a couple of adjustments, particularly on the defensive end, and boy, did they come out blazing in the third quarter. Again, 18-0 run, and it was Draymond Green, as per usual, at the center of all of it, pushing transition, getting stops on one end. And Klay Thompson was starting to get some open looks after knocking down a bunch of tough contested jumpers in the first half. He had 18 in the first half. Stephen Curry getting open looks as well. The Warriors just looked like themselves for the first time in this series, and the Raptors didn't really know what to do with all of that energy that the Warriors were throwing out there. It was the turning point in the game. And then the Raptors, to their credit, they are a really good basketball team. We knew that, obviously, after Game 1, but, man, that would have been a great opportunity for them to fold up the tent, and instead all they did was punch back. They fought their way right back into this game, and the Warriors could not breathe until the final buzzer went off. Man, a really impressive counterpunching performance from Toronto, and the Warriors got to feel lucky coming out of this one 1-1 because they didn't make a basket outside of Andre Iguodala's three-pointer with 6 seconds to go in the final 5:39 of this game. It's incredible. My initial thought at the end of the contest was, oh no, there are still 5 more games in this series. That felt like Game 7 out there. It felt like everybody was laying it out there. And a big reason behind that is point number 2, and it's the injuries. The NBA playoffs, they're a war of attrition. People don't like to admit it, but that's just the case. Now, it's not the NFL or the NHL or anything like that, but when you play high-intensity basketball against other guys playing high-intensity basketball, you're going to pick up injuries, and the Warriors are really banged up going into Game 3. We know about Kevin Durant. We do not have any update if he'll play in Game 3 or not. Lord knows the Warriors need him after everything that happened. Klay Thompson looked like he pulled his hamstring late in the game here. Andre Iguodala, he was questionable more or less. He wasn't on the injury report, but he injured something in that quad or calf in Game 1, and then he comes out. He looked pretty sluggish. And then he runs into Marc Gasol. I guess he knocked him back 3 or 4 years because after he ran into Marc Gasol and was laying on the ground for a while, and you would think, oh, he's either concussed or he tweaked his ankle or something. It was just a big train wreck of a mess. He comes out and he knocks down 3 three-pointers, including the game-winning one or the game-icing one with 6 seconds to go, and the Raptors trapped Steph Curry, got the ball out of his hands. Andre Iguodala's wide open for 3, no hesitation, knocks it in. But he's injured, he's banged up. Klay says he's going to play in Game 3 because Klay's not really one of us. He's beyond human. He has ascended to the next realm. I would be shocked if he doesn't play in Game 3. But Kevon Looney, we don't know if he's going to play in Game 3 because he came down hard. Kyle Lowry, a bowling ball of a point guard, knocked him almost into the stanchion on a play at the hoop. He comes down right on his collarbone. He couldn't play the rest of the game. Warriors are really banged up. Not to mention Stephen Curry looked under the weather early on in this game. He had to go back to the locker room. They said it was dehydration. As someone who's just coming off a head cold, and I didn't give it to him. It's not my fault. But as someone coming off a head cold, because it's been going around up here in the north, and probably been going around in the Bay too. Everybody's been getting sick around us. It's been terrible. The petri dish of airplanes has taken us all down with it. He probably got something going on in the sinuses right now, and he's not at 100%. This is where we're at. And yet, again, there's still 5 games to play. So if Kevin Durant's going to make a comeback in this series, it better be soon because the Warriors need everybody that they can get. Now, luckily for Golden State, this is point number 3, They had some strength in numbers tonight, and I did not think I would be saying that, given how they played in the first half. It was rough when they went to that second quarter unit. But DeMarcus Cousins gets the start in this game, which kind of tells you where we're at in this series in Game 2. DeMarcus Cousins, who hadn't played in 45 days before Game 1, looked completely unplayable, in my opinion, in Game 1. Did some nice things offensively, especially with passing, but just totally unplayable on the defensive end. Easy target, just fried fish all day. The Warriors had to start him, and it was looking pretty rough in the early goings. But when Looney goes out, and you have Andrew Bogut, who did come off the bench and provided some solid minutes, but they weren't going to play Jordan Bell in this game after a tough stretch in Game 1. No Looney, who's supposed to give you the 30-something minutes, and they don't want to play Draymond Green at the 5. You didn't really have much of a choice, and they thought they could get 20 minutes out of DeMarcus Cousins. They needed 26 minutes out of DeMarcus Cousins, and let me tell you, those final 6 minutes from Cousins were absolutely his best. I thought Draymond Green, as per usual, put it best. Boogie hasn't played a lot of defense, offense, anything, basketball, in the last 18 months when you really think about it. Coming off of the Achilles injury, coming in to the team in January, kind of not getting into a rhythm just because the Warriors weren't really trying that hard from January on. He didn't play back-to-backs, anything like that. And then he doesn't play pretty much the entire postseason. He plays in Game 1, not so great. Game 2 of the first round, pulls his quad. And we thought he was out for the rest of the year, and he fought back. And credit to DeMarcus Cousins, fighting back, putting himself in a position to where he could play in these NBA Finals. And he looked rusty as hell in Game 1. And the Warriors, you could see the rust shaking off as the game went on. The big man has joined us. And I don't know if he's going to be a positive force for them on the defensive end. Maybe the Raptors look at this tape and are foaming at the mouth. But, man, let me tell you what he did in the final 6 minutes or so of his playing time. He pulled down big rebound after big rebound after big rebound. The only reason the Warriors didn't lose this game, because, again, they didn't make a shot outside of Iguodala's with 6 seconds to go for the final 5:39. And that's on everybody. Again, it felt like Game 7 out here. But because Cousins was able to keep the Raptors more or less off the offensive glass, they kept bricking. They didn't have the legs under them. They just got unlucky to a certain degree. But Cousins kept pulling down big rebounds, and, man, the Warriors would have lost without it. Huge performance from DeMarcus, and maybe this is a positive sign. If this is as good as it gets for him, that's not a problem, so long as the Warriors can get Looney back into the fold, so long as Andrew Bogut can still make an impact in games, all of that. At the same time, maybe that rust is gone, and maybe we're about to get the best of DeMarcus Cousins for the first time in really a long time, maybe even for the first time since he's been in a Golden State Warriors uniform. It's a big move for him. Obviously, he's a free agent at the end of the year. He's probably not re-signing with the Warriors. I'm 99% certain of that. He doesn't want to sign on the mid-level exception again. He wants a big money contract. His tenure here has not really worked out, if we're being totally honest. It's worked out in the sense that it kind of fulfilled expectations. He came back from injury, all of that stuff, but he has not been the impact player that the Warriors expected him to be, that he expected himself to be over the course of the season. He can be an impact player in the most impactful games right now, and the Warriors will certainly need it. We will have a lot to update y'all on between now and Game 3 on Wednesday. Oh, boy. Everybody's going to have an injury report after this one, and the Warriors, maybe this is as good as it gets. Maybe this is the game that they just had to get over the hump with. And you get over the hump, and now they're back to being the Warriors again. They found their identity. They found the way to be successful against a really good, really interesting, really feisty Raptors team. They say that a series does not start until the home team loses. Well, 2019 NBA Finals are underway. We will talk to you back from Oakland, Game 3 Wednesday.